Right guys, and we're back with another antivirus video, but this one is planning for the next series. I've left them up long enough that they have had a decent amount of interest, and now I've decided that if I'm going to do another series, I'm going to go in quite considerably more into depth. So I've had quite a bit of interest, and this video is basically planning what we could do next or what we should do next. I still have a lot of discussions with the startup that I'm a part of in exactly how far I can go without breaching the terms of my contract by adding competitors to the market. But there are some plans that we can go we can some designs we can go with which shouldn't actually cause us to breach my contract in a way. So to start off, let's recap from what we did last year, or actually let's start with the basic understanding of an antivirus. People have said this, or I've had a lot of questions about this. How would you check that it works, and how do you know that it is actually an antivirus? So on your screens now is the Google definition of an antivirus. An antivirus is designed to detect and destroy computer viruses. So by quarantining them, you are making them ineffective. You're not destroying them, but you're making them ineffective. If you just hit delete, you do the exact same thing. So let's recap on what we did last year. So what did we achieve? So we started with a basic scanner. We taught it how to detect the ISCAR test file, which is the test file used by the other antivirus vendors. We added a simple database to increase the number of signatures we could detect. We then, after that, we added threading to handle the workload. We moved on in later episodes to add more detection methods, hex, hex pos, and then later we added reports, simple quarantines, and other useful functions that usually come with your antivirus. Now, we did really well, or in terms that I would go with, we did well. It's a difficult task, and it went really well, pretty much. So this is plan 1 for our next year. I've got 3 or 4 different plans. I will explain the pros and cons of each one as we go through. So plan 1, or let me just explain the basic. All of these will have a client and a service. One of the limiting functions of our design from the last series was that it runs in user mode. There's 3 different modes. I think. 3. So you've got user mode, then you've got like service load, and then you've got driver mode. Your application running in client in user mode means that its permissions are limited, and it can't take advantage of some of the Windows architecture. So we're going to put our service in the systems or kernel zone. The shell zone, shell mode, and that is going to then give us slightly higher permissions. For instance, scanning another user's folders without being logged in as them. Ideally, we do a third part, and it would be the driver in kernel mode, but drivers are designed to be signed by a authority, and not everyone's going to be able to get them signed, and therefore you won't be able to load them and you won't be able to use them. It's a Windows security feature to stop malware jumping into kernel mode. So that with the basics out of the way, this is the plan one. We would write a client application on your screen as user_client.exe, and we'd run a service. The service would be named, I don't know yet. It would just be named service.exe at the minute. We would then build a engine.dll, a dynamic load library, and we would have a community plugin which I would write, and you would simply download the compiled file. Now, why would we do a community plugin that is compiled? Mainly so that I can put some things in there to authenticate with the server, as well as download community databases and things like that. I know that through the first series, a lot of users have had issues increasing their increasing their detections by adding more signatures to their database. This would get around that issue. In all, it would be a lot of programming. That is, it's one disadvantage. This would probably be a 40-episode series. Programming the client and then programming the service. We would be able to use some of the code we've already written, but a lot of it would be written off. Then the engine would have to be written again, with a lot more in-depth planning to it. When I wrote the first series, I was 2 episodes ahead of the public, and it was designed purely to be a beginner's guide. This would be more a beginners to advanced programming guide. But like I said, I will have to speak with the startup I'm with, because I'm pretty sure this comes under competition. So plan 2 is we program the client and we program the service, but we use a pre-compiled engine. So in this scenario or this plan, I would write the entire engine, including the update system, the databasing system, the detection system, and it would all be external calls. So in our service, we would call a function that's pre-written in the DLL, and that would then use the functionality that has already been written. This is more of a likely scenario, as in a way it doesn't. If I put the correct terms in place for the pre-compiled engine, it couldn't be used by a competitor, but it would still give you guys a good understanding of the code behind it, as well as giving you a good functionality to use. Obviously, the cons for this one is that you wouldn't be able to see any of the engine code. You wouldn't be able to see any of the detections. You wouldn't be able to see any of the signature bases. So you would I'd be pretty much cutting the engine out of the development, which is quite a sizable chunk of code and is a key part. However, this does come with the pro that you would get signatures already made, community databases. There'd be a lot more functionality. I'd probably be able to use some of the functionality which I've already written for the startup. And most importantly, it could be able to use, I don't know if it will yet. I haven't actually spoken to the startup, and I haven't talked with the other programmers about what code I can and can't use. But it could use a pre-compiled driver that's already signed. But this is still undecided. The last one is that they're both named 2. Anyway, this is supposed to be plan 3. It actually says plan 2. We would write the client again, and we'd write the service again, but all of the or only 90% of the features would be stored in the pre-compiled engine. Some of the more rudimental functions would be stored in the service. But that wraps up pretty much the planning stage. I would like to know what you guys think. So do post in the comment section, because that's going to make a considerable difference to what I end up deciding to do. I have a date in mind to start the series, which would be, I think it was the 20th of January. No, it's the 19th of January would be the first episode released. However, depending on the level of interest for this, we might push it back to February, or I might even push it back to March. Yeah, because March would give me enough time to program at least 5 or 6 episodes ahead of you guys. And this is important because I would be able to sort out I would be able to figure out some of the issues that we'd have before the public episode. So this is pretty much where I've got to right now. It isn't set in stone. I still have a lot of decisions to make, and I still have to find out what the rest of the guys are thinking. Because if this poses too much of a threat as a competition, it will breach my contract. But I think we could work our way around that. I think I have confidence we could work our way around it enough that I'll put this planning video out. So I'd like to know what you guys think. This is a lot of programming for me to be adding to my workload. So I want to know if you guys would appreciate going further, or whether you didn't understand the first episodes, or whether I didn't give enough explanation of the code as we were going through it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you like the idea, hit the like button. We'll use that as a scale to figure out whether we will continue or not. So until next time.